So this is a very serious subject, and this is a very unfortunate situation that I just found out about. I mean, I've known about it for a couple of weeks, and I didn't really know if I wanted to like talk about it, but I've seen a few channels that I watch bring it up, and I thought maybe this was a subject that I can speak on, specifically because I've discussed the etiquette of sparring a few times in a few videos, and I've had some guests on the channel talk about it, so this kind of falls in line with that. And what this is it's really a tragedy, really. So it's about this young lady, well, she's a teenager, 17 years old. Her name is Kiara Rubalcaba. And I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but I just want to make sure I say her name out of respect when I'm sharing this information. But Kiara was training at a boxing gym in Mexico, and she had been training for a couple months, and after a round with an experienced sparring partner, she passed away. So to really get into the details of it, this was back in October. It says Kiara had only been training for about 2 months, and during sparring she was paired with a more experienced opponent, and she received several blows to the head. She collapsed shortly after and began convulsing. She was taken to the general hospital, where she underwent emergency surgery, and unfortunately she passed away a few days later, I think, a couple days later, it looks like. So this subject is touchy, and it's due to the etiquette when it comes to sparring, but of course that shifts from gym to gym, and it's unfortunate that it's not uniform. But in all things, when businesses are run, nothing is uniform. There's best practices that could be followed, but most places kind of do what they feel is best for their teams or their students or their customers. And I don't know anything about this gym. I'm not going to speak ill of them. I'm going to say that this situation is just very, very sad and tragic. I will say, regardless of that there's some careless conduct involved here. There's so many things that should have been done differently. But again, I don't know all the full details of this scenario and the situation. But at the end of the day, you have an experienced person who I can only assume was hitting an inexperienced person hard enough to cause convulsions. And that's all around bad. Number one, personally, I just wouldn't have someone sparring in their first 2 months. We ease people into sparring, and then we teach them how to spar. And I think that's a better way to do it. And that's from years of I've had years when I first started out as an instructor and owning a school. I've had times where we just kind of chucked it or tossed some eager people into sparring, and we did our best to take care of them, and it worked out. You know, we were very blessed that it worked out. But I learned over time that it's better to ease people in. Then I went to a phase where I held people off for a long time. They had to earn their first rank, so that was several months before they could spar. Of course, there were some people that showed a better aptitude, so we moved them along faster. Now, for the last several years, what I do now is I teach people how to spar. We do it during class, and we do it during sparring days. When somebody shows up on a sparring day and they're new and they haven't sparred yet, we only hold for them, and then we let them hit us, and then we slowly ease them into the etiquette and the contact that we want when it comes to sparring. And that's just years of experience right there, and how we have chosen to do it to ensure safety. And you can't ensure 100%. You never can ensure that everyone will 100% be safe. People still get kicked in the head. People have gotten, kicked in the eye. I have lost my eye. We are hitting each other, so the risks are still there, especially when you get experienced people against experienced people, and the contact picks up. But that's where this is different. You had an inexperienced person. Now, I want to say that something is different is I mostly feel safe pairing a very experienced person with an inexperienced person, because the goal here is I will tell the experienced person to take good care of the beginner and kind of show them how we spar. But that is a culture that we have built. Again, I don't know this gym and I don't know their culture. And a lot of gyms, they push this iron sharpens iron, like let's go, let's bang kind of thing. And sparring is like hard sparring is where it's at. And if you do Muay Thai, that is not our energy. That is not the Muay Thai way. I learned that when I trained in Thailand. Like we sparred in every class in Thailand, but that's because it was playful. Lin. That's why I made this shirt. That's why I wear this shirt. It's a reminder. Len Muay. We play spar. I learned that when we were out there and they didn't have us with the shin guards or even gloves sometimes, and we were just moving around with each other and playing. And that's why you were able to do it in every single class, every single day. And then you learn your flow, your rhythm, your timing. And then, of course, on sparring days, it picks up a little bit. But Muay Thai, the Thais in Thailand, it's all about light sparring. And that's come up a few times with guests that I've had on channel, Crew Daniel and Ariel McGuire, and even when we had the honor of having John Wayne Parr here, he was stressing how we needed to get back to light sparring because all his years in Thailand, that's how he had learned the sparring is the light sparring and how we need to go back to light sparring. So it's something that's truly embedded in Muay Thai, but I think some people just, this energy, this I'm just going to put this in quotations, fighter energy where it's about like we gotta bang all the time to just see who's tough. That's not useful. So here, that is the culture that we have created. So I would take an experienced person and have them take care of the inexperienced person. So I don't know how the experienced person just took it upon themselves to, I don't hit the young lady in a way that would cause her death. That said, I don't know her medical history, and I don't know if there was sparring previous weeks or there was compounding damage going into that sparring session. So, without all those details, you don't know if it was caused by underlying medical stuff or again, compounding damage and so on and so forth. But all of that should have been addressed either by herself, kind of sharing that information, and then of course, the coaching staff and the owners protecting her. That's number one. They should have protected her. Like, who was overseeing the sparring? That's the second thing. When I sit here and I watch sparring, I'm watching. I make sure that respect is always being given and that, our etiquette stays intact and that we take care of each other. I have 3 very important rules for sparring here at my school, and I give these rules before every sparring session. Number one is take care of each other. Number 2 is have fun. It has to be fun, right? Or else what are we doing? If it's stressful, it's overwhelming, which it will be regardless if you're trying to have fun. You're hitting someone and they're hitting you, and it's all around stressful. At first, of course, as you get better at it, you learn to have fun. It becomes playful. So I say, number 2, have fun. You have to have fun. So of course, if we're taking care of each other, we can have fun. So 1 feeds 2. And then number 3 is always have a conversation, never an argument. Always a conversation, never an argument. And I mean that physically and verbally. What I mean by that is I tell people, okay, sometimes we have advanced people going. And when they're going with each other, they may be hitting a little harder than like an advanced person with a beginner. Or we have a fighter on the mat and another fighter, and they're kind of picking it up and helping each other out. That is their conversation. That is not a conversation they are to have with other people. If somebody starts to escalate and the other person isn't, then this person is now shouting and it's no longer a conversation. So now it may have to be verbal, or we do like the person just hauled off and do a couple hard ones and we start tapping again to remind them of the conversation we are having, and they still go crazy. Now you got to stop them. Hey man, I'm going light today, or you got to take it down a notch, right? Or we have it again when we have 2 fighters and they're excited to spar with each other. Like you have that where this person starts to elevate and this person matches, and then that's their conversation as long as it never turns into an argument. And there's no, of course, that works. I'm going to say that works 98, 99% of the time, but it's sparring, Nothing ever gets out of hand. We've been very blessed, again, by protecting the culture. But, people have got hit hard and then, conversations had to be had after. But, again, those things are all in place to protect my students, to protect our community, to protect the martial artists who train here. Not everyone is here to be a fighter. That is the myth. So, again, I don't know about that gym, if that's what her goals were or if that's what the gym does. But still, you need to protect the students regardless, especially someone at that level. So I am not a fan of the hard sparring. I'm not a fan of the hard sparring mentality, of the like bang it out type energy. That's just not a good way to train. And if you have a decent coach, they should know better. The only time we really get hard rounds, like really hard rounds, and we run like shark tanks and gauntlets, that's when someone's in a fight camp. So again, that goes back to the responsibility falling to the coaches or the owner or whoever is overseeing the classes, the facility, and specifically there should have been someone overseeing the sparring session. But guys, look, light sparring is so beneficial and it's so important, and it's for your safety and the safety of your teammates. And just to keep everyone training, just to keep having fun and doing martial arts. So again, I just wanted to give my take on it. I think it's a tragic and unfortunate situation. I wish it never happened. I hope it doesn't happen again. And my thoughts and prayers go out to her family. That is, I can't even imagine what that would be like to go through. And to, of course, any of her friends or anyone that knew this young lady and just lost her to something that could have been avoided. So I'll leave you with this. If you feel that you are being pushed into an unsafe situation in your training, you need to make that clear to the leadership team of that gym, to your coach, to any of the coaches, or you just need to step away. And if they're not respectful or understanding of your concerns, then it might be time to look somewhere else. There's something I say in everything we do, safety first. And even when we are trying to be as safe as possible, injuries, accidents, pain, things will happen. It's contact. So make sure that someone is doing the best they can to make it as safe as possible and as fun as possible. That way you can mitigate those situations. In the end, there's no guarantees, but it's about you feeling that you're getting the best training in the safest way that is helping you grow as a martial artist. All right, guys. Thank you for hearing me out on that subject. And let's all learn to really embrace and enjoy light sparring.